Okay, so we're leaving the visitor center, and I apologize for the sound of my AC, but one of the kind of drive-through, and you can see here's one, as we talked before, one of the horse-drawn carriages. But this way, they have this. I wanted you to kind of see the main road. So the main road here is you leave the visitor center here, and Main Street is kind of where everything kind of typically functions off of. And you see the Mississippi just right there. But as you come down this road, I wanted to give a visual so that you can see when exploring, to understand that it's not just a quick jump, right? To the left is 90 degrees to the left of me is the temple. I'll give you a video on that in a second. But to the left here in this park is where the carnival is going to be. And as you can kind of see, it's wooded but wide open spaces, and there's two main big lots, and this is the start of it right here. And there'll be games and competitions, and there you go, you can see the temple kind of right through there. But there'll be games and competitions and the whole thing here. And then you'll see to the left, and I'll do another video, to the left is where the main stage and where the big pageant is. But all of this will be filled with kids running around and fun games and kind of old school county fairish type of games. But then right here at White Street is kind of where it starts on the let's walk around and explore. Like here's Cultural Hall, and then the Scoville Bakery. There's food there, and then behind Scoville Bakery, to give you an understanding, is you can make rope. I can't remember what they call that. Like looks like the Family Living Center. Okay, but then there's another. Right there is another version of wagon rides, and so you can jump on those. And then all of the houses are kind of or historical sites kind of branch off of this. Like the Scoville Bakery, they actually will give you a bit of, I think it's bread or a cookie that is kind of traditional. But when you're exploring, you can see these families. They're just walking around, and you walk in and out of all of these buildings. Like here to the left is the gunsmith, and that is Browning. For those of you who are into firearms, Browning is a big deal. Restrooms here, but that whole is kind of I think it was his first manufacturing site. And you go in there and you can see a bunch of his first firearms, what have you. Then there's the post office and the printing office, and both of those, the missionaries are in there doing their like they'll have a bit of a play, and they'll say their stuff. Now some of these I've never been in, so like the Vincent Knight house I've never been in, the shoe manufacturer I've never been in, and I think right now, actually, let's drive down this way first, because this is the tail end. And so this is, I'll drive down. Now, it's the very end, and so as you can see, if the plan is to come and visit all of this stuff, it just gives you a visual, right, of the length and the whole thing. And so this is the mansion house, right? So this is where Joseph was, and this was his home. All of this is owned by the Community of Christ. So this home here, all of this property, and then over here in this corner is where Joseph and Emma lay. That's their final resting spot. They also have a visitor center, and I'll drive over here real quick so you can see the visitor center. But just to give you a visual, you expect that the way we've read things in regards to the mansion home is it's huge. It's not. It's kind of fascinating. For the time, it was a big, beautiful, welcoming to Nauvoo spot, but it's fun to see the kids expect it to be a lot grander and bigger than it is. So this is the what they call the Joseph Smith Visitor Center, and this is the Community of Christ. And this, to go into the mansion home and all these things down here on the south, you actually have to pay a fee. You know, it's a very symbiotic relationship here, but you have to pay a fee here, and then they will walk you with a bit of a tour guide, and they'll walk you from here down into, I can't remember if you have to have reservations or not, but then they'll walk with you. You know, they'll assign somebody to come in, and typically, you know, it's fun. The kids I'll ask them questions. You know, they'll ask them questions, and they can learn a little bit about the RLDS church, and then eventually what turned into the Community of Christ. But they'll come in and they'll give you a tour of the mansion home, and then they come over here as well and give a tour of I can't remember what this home is, but then right behind, oh, a summer kitchen. I don't remember what that was, but you get a tour of it. And then as you can see that young man over there, that's essentially where Joseph is buried. And they're very particular on asking the kids to be quiet and kind of solemn, and as especially for them and for us, it's a kind of a sacred resting spot for them. So it's fun to see the kids, you know, having fun, and then immediately try to be quiet and reverent. Here is the red brick store. Inside the red brick store, again, operated by the Community of Christ. The red brick store has fun things you can buy, drinks and candies and Nauvoo souvenirs and the whole thing. And at the very and then at the end of Nauvoo, or at the very tail end, is some restrooms as well, so you can see. And as we drive up here, the Walk of Hope, I can't remember what they call it, but up here we'll turn left and it goes all the way down to the Mississippi. But I think it's the trail, Walk of Hope or whatever. Maybe there'll be a sign over here. We'll see it. But this building is really cool. It's the Blacksmith and Farrier, and that's where you go to get the prairie ring, and the blacksmith will be there, and you know, gives you a bit of a demonstration inside of there, the whole thing, and then everybody gets their little prayer ring. And there's the blacksmith right there, as you can see him. He's an elder, a senior missionary. And typically people will partner it up. They'll do that, and then they'll come down here, and right here where this building is where the Trail of Hope, that's what they call it. So this is the 70s hall. And then right here is where the Trail of Hope starts. And as you walk down this, and as you can see, there's a car all the way down there. That's the Mississippi. But there's multiple spots, and so there'll be sister missionaries. I've only seen sister missionaries, but they'll go through and they'll give like a story about Orson Pratt, and then they stop, and then it's Margaret Clausen, and then they give Wilford Woodruff, and then as you can see all these different plaques, it's somebody different each time, and they just walk and they tell the story of this is the road that led to the ferry at the very end, and of them leaving, of saying goodbye, and it's super powerful. It's beautiful. The only negative of this is that there's, especially at the beginning, you're not in the shade. And if it's a very hot day and the kids are tired and cranky, they can miss out on the opportunity of this beautiful, powerful kind of pulse. I mean, just a beautiful spirit that can be there. And so be prepared for that if you can. But as you can see, they come all the way down to here, and it kind of ends right here. But then you walk all the way to the Mississippi, just as they all did to leave. And this is where the ferry was. And, you know, a lot of the kids will come down and, you know, touch in the water and play in the water a little bit. But there is, and then that's it. And then you walk back. And so again, probably in my opinion, one of the coolest experiences and neatest and solemn experiences, but it can be a negative. It can turn into a negative if the heat or the weather is not cooperating. So let's go over to the pageant, see what that looks like.